everyone, it's Jack from Cultaholic.com back again with yet more lovely wrestling news from all over the place. WWE, AEW, let's just generally have a little dive in and take a look at those lovely headlines. First of all, WWE have reportedly hit a SummerSlam setback. Next up, Cody has discussed the possibility of Rey Mysterio joining All Elite Wrestling. And finally, Tony Khan has revealed that TNT apparently really love one particular star. All that and more in just a second, but first of all, yes, let's talk about this apparent WWE SummerSlam setback. Now, there were previous reports recently that WWE were really looking for a unique location to host SummerSlam in, and there was a lot of speculation that it would be on a beach, or I think there were rumors that it would be on a boat potentially. That would certainly fit the theme of what WWE have been doing so far, trying to give each of their pay-per-views in the lockdown era a bit more of a distinctive feel, even though maybe not so much in terms of location. It's been in terms of like Backlash had the greatest match ever. Extreme Rules was of course the horror show at Extreme Rules. Money in the Bank's main event took place at the Titan Towers, and so on. So it does make sense that they'd probably want to hold SummerSlam in a bit of a unique location, especially if fans couldn't be in attendance. However, those plans may have hit a bit of a snag. That's according to the Twitter sort of wrestling rumor account WrestleVotes, who WrestleVotes often are accurate with what they say, so it's worth, taking their words with whatever the reverse of a pinch of salt is. A pinch of this could be true. And they tweeted, WWE has looked into hosting SummerSlam within the Northeast at an outdoor location with limited fans, and as of now have found no interested states in allowing that to happen. Now, when I first read this tweet, my heart soared because I assumed they meant the northeast of England, hence, Newcastle or somewhere nearby would be the host of SummerSlam. But no, of course not. They meant the northeast of the United States, so potentially like, New York, or moving a little bit further up. I'm going to show off my geography here, maybe up into New England, the sort of Massachusetts, Connecticut, sort of, those sort of states, guys. Rhode Island's up there as well, isn't it? Cheers, Family Guy. Maine, that's up there as well. New Hampshire. So it does seem from this like WWE are trying to do maybe what AEW have done slightly, allow limited fans in attendance, perhaps really spaced out. I've got no idea how they determine who these fans are, whether it be just like a first come first served sort of thing, I don't know. But because they're looking in the Northeast for that, they are struggling, because from what I can gather, in the Northeast of the United States, the lockdown restrictions are a little bit more, shall we say, rigidly enforced than in the South, where things seem to be a little bit more open. So I guess it remains to be seen what happens with SummerSlam. Will they indeed hold it on a boat? Will it be on a beach somewhere? And of course, will fans be in attendance or not? It's looking unlikely at the moment, according to WrestleVotes. But WWE do still have a few weeks left until the biggest party of the summer, so we'll see what happens. Next up, Cody, aka Cody Rhodes, Cody from All Elite Wrestling. We all know Cody. He's been talking with ESPN about Rey Mysterio and the possibility of Rey joining All Elite Wrestling. Cody said, "To me, he is the greatest luchador ever of all time, and he's got friends here. Jericho and he are friends. Mysterio is not afraid to travel out there either. He's not a one-company individual." And that's true. We've seen Rey Mysterio jump around a little bit, especially a couple of years ago in his career, even making that New Japan little appearance that he did out of the blue, seemingly. And Cody goes on to say, "I think Rey still has a lot left to give in terms of wrestling. That might be something that someone else is currently discussing with him at this point. You never know." Oh, very interesting. The reason that's so interesting is, of course, because Rey Mysterio is currently in the middle of a bit of a contract saga with WWE. WWE are trying to get him to re-sign. He's not certain, according to reports, but seems likely to, according to, I believe, the Wrestling Observer newsletter last week. And basically, WWE have framed this as a result of his eye injury in that match against Seth Rollins, the eye for an eye match. They're saying Rey may not be able to wrestle again, or he may if we get lucky. And basically everyone's seeing that as them keeping it open-ended so they can go whichever way the story needs to, whether or not he re-signs a contract. But if this figure that Cody is alluding to is Tony Khan, and if this is true as well, and it's not just Cody stirring the pot, then that may mean that Rey is thinking of jumping ship. Or, as we've seen various WWE superstars do since AEW came into existence, he could just be leveraging WWE to try and get a bit more money out of them. Cody also talked about a bit of a controversial figure in the past couple of years, Tessa Blanchard. He said, I don't know a lot about the current situation with her and Impact. Obviously, she was recently released from her contract despite being the Impact World Champion at the time. Cody has pointed out that Tully Blanchard, of course, is in AEW. That's more Kenny Omega, Brandy and Tony carving out the growing and evolving women's division. I think he means Tessa Blanchard's not something that I personally have a hand in if we were going to sign her, but this is what Kenny, Brandy and Tony are going to be doing. He says they'd have more of a beat on that, but she was part of All In for us, and anyone who was part of All In has a place in my heart. On a personal level, I always want the second and third generation wrestlers to have the best experience, because Cody himself, of course, is the son of Dusty Rhodes. He says she has a lot of talent. I'm sure it's something that Kenny, Brandy and Tony have discussed. Also a bit of news that you may have missed from a little bit earlier on in the week, because on this week's Impact, a recently released WWE superstar's first match outside of WWE since his release has been revealed. And Impact has seen a lot of debuts recently from those WWE releases, such as Eric Young, Carl Anderson, Luke Gallows, but the man in question here is Big Heath Slater, baby, daddy, Big Daddy Heath Daddy. So in the storyline, Heath has not officially signed with Impact Wrestling, but next week he gets a chance to secure himself a contract because he's going up against Moose, who is currently, of course, the TNA heavyweight champion with the old school belt. He's doing the whole I'm the real champion of Impact sort of thing, and Heath's got to fight Moose for the belt, I believe. I think it's a title match, but the stipulation that I do definitely know is that if Heath wins, he gets a spot on the Impact roster. Shades of that free agency storyline in WWE, isn't it, when he was between Raw and SmackDown. This, of course, follows on from Heath making his surprise debut appearance at Slammiversary, where he came out and declared that he's here, he's a free agent, he's going to do what he wants and prove himself, and now he's got a chance to against Moose. I don't know if Heath's going to win or not. Obviously, if you look at them both and the way that they're both portrayed inside the ring, Heath's, throughout his career, been a little bit more of a guy who, how do I put this, who wrestling promotions or who WWE were more willing to have lose, whereas Moose kind of wins a bit more. But you never know how it's going to go. Next up, let's talk about Kairi Sane, because Kairi Sane was clearly a bit more of an influential figure backstage in WWE, or a bit more of a well-liked figure than perhaps anybody realized outside of the company, because since she has left the active roster, she's been getting showered with like compliments and well wishes from like pretty much all of her peers. And not just her peers, but it's also some of the higher ups as well, because none other than Triple H took to Twitter recently to share some kind words on Kairi Sane. He has tweeted, a truly unique young woman with the ability to capture hearts, minds, and pirate ships. Proud of Kairi Sane's growth as a performer and her time spent with NXT and WWE. Now, it does make quite a lot of sense that Triple H will be a big fan of Kairi Sane. She, of course, was one of the big stars of the NXT women's division for a time and was, of course, the NXT women's champion for her. I think a disappointingly short period. I think it was between two of Shayna Baszler's reigns. I understand that they wanted Shayna to be strong, but that time when Kairi was on like this huge babyface tear was a really exciting time for the women's division in NXT, and I'm sure that Triple H has a lot of good memories of that as well. I wonder if Triple H is, a bit disappointed with Kairi's main roster run, because he there emphasised in the tweet how she can capture hearts and minds, and I think that might allude to how fantastic she is as just a pure babyface, whereas of course on the main roster, when she teamed with Asuka as the Kabuki Warriors, at first they were heels, and even though Kairi was good in that role, it was nothing on her as a babyface. I don't know, I wonder if he wishes she was pushed a bit more as a single star as well. Certainly I do. But I really would be curious to get Triple H's thoughts on that, just because, he's the NXT dude, and so often his NXT graduates have very mixed results on the main roster. A quick one now, just a quick update on Corey Taylor, the frontman of Slipknot and Stone Sour, of course. He's released a new track, I believe a solo track, CMFT Must Be Stopped, on YouTube, and it features the music video, well, three wrestlers, or three wrestling figures, that don't go together that well, but I don't mind. In the video, we see former AEW World Champion, Le Champion, Chris Jericho. Corey Graves is in the video as well, and King Corbin's in the video as well. I've not personally watched this yet. This note was provided to me by Tom Campbell, so I'm assuming he's seen it and has rocked on in his flat, maybe. I hope you have, Tom. I hope you've had a nice day. And finally, Cody wasn't the only AEW figure talking to ESPN recently, because the big dog, Tony Khan, was also, and he was talking about a certain AEW star who TNT absolutely love. And the man in question is Orange Cassidy, who is very much on the rise, of course, and is currently feuding with Chris Jericho, of all people. But Tony Khan has gone in a little bit on why Orange Cassidy is so beloved, especially by the network. He said he clearly had a following, but he wasn't somebody when we started that I was particularly aware of or had real big plans for. After Double or Nothing, I spent a lot of time with Orange Cassidy and got to know him a lot better, and also talked to him about ideas, and that opened up a lot of doors for the both of us. I had no idea what an intelligent person he is, and he is very, very smart. And really, I had no idea how well thought out this all was. I think by this he means the gimmick, maybe? Tony goes on to say he's multi-talented, he's a team player, he's tried to make other people look good as much as possible, and the most important thing above all else is that his work is phenomenal. He is a great wrestler. And Tony closes by saying he's become organically a big merchandise mover, and he's been in some very high-rated TV segments. It's not inaccurate at all to say that TNT loves him. For me, I think the most exciting thing about Orange Cassidy was when he first had that match against Neville and Pac, and really tried for the first time, and we all got to see, wow, he's an awesome wrestler. And I was thinking, geez, I've never seen him wrestle like this before. I'd actually seen Orange Cassidy in person at a couple of indie shows in the UK, and he was fine. He was doing his, cool guy gimmick, not really trying very hard. But when he had that match against Pac and I saw him actually move about, I was like, wow, he is really something. Then, of course, I learned that he used to be Fire Ant in Chikara, and it all made sense because the Colony were great. And I felt stupid for not knowing that already. Anyway, that is it for today's news video from me. Thank you very much for watching. Leave your thoughts and opinions on any of those news stories we've talked about in the comment section down below. Stay safe out there, keep yourselves positive, and I'll see you very soon.